Metro, because you've been there since what, 97 you said?
Yeah, man. Forever.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't look like it's worn on you that much. You wear it well. I'll put it
Come on.
So let's just jump right in, man. Hello and welcome to the Chef's Corner. I'm your host, Brian Hernandez, and I'm here today with the great Chris Decker of Metro Pizza in Las Vegas, Nevada area. Now, you guys have, is it 3 locations there? Which one are you at?
Excuse me, 4 full service, and then we have 1 at the airport, and then a smaller one in a casino right off the strip.
Oh, so it's like about 6 then.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I've been asleep for the last few years, I guess.
Is that right?
So which one do you mainly? What's your home base?
I'm out at our newest one in the Northwest in Centennial Hills.
Okay.
So a little further away. We're actually closer to Mount Charleston than I am the Strip, but it's cool.
So which one's your favorite one to work at?
I started at the Flamingo and Decatur store. So that one will always be like the number one for me. Like the pizza still tastes the best there. I love that one.
All right. So let's jump right into kind of the question list that we had that we just gave everybody here. So what is your earliest pizza memory? Maybe it's a smell, a sight, walking down the street, somebody chucked a slice at your head. I don't know. Right.
Well, I have a couple. Like growing up, my dad always made pizzas on Fridays at home. So that was like when I was really young, that it was cool to kind of watch him do that and take part in it. He didn't have anything to do with the pizza making world or even really cooking, but for some reason he always made pizzas on Fridays. So I kind of always remember that. And then growing up, there was a really great restaurant called Duff's. I'm from upstate New York, and there's this really, really old man that used to his workstation was in the middle of the restaurant, and he used to let us go up there and play with the dough and talk to him and do all those kinds of things. So I'll always remember that. He was the star of the restaurant. It was like this old man that used to make pizza, and it was a great place. And his family has a little place there now. It's not the same, but I'll always remember the Duff's. It was a really cool spot.
So that basically he was just kind of unencumbered in the middle of all the dining area?
Yeah, in front of the kitchen was the pizza stand. So they're the pizza making area. So it was the dining room and then him, and then behind him was the kitchen. So he was front and center for everyone to see. It was really cool.
That's a cool concept. I like that.
Yeah.
Pizza's always a star anyway, so.
Right?
So how did you end up getting started in the business then? Now you've told me that you've been with Metro Pizza since 97. So that's going on, 20 years now, man.
Yeah.
That's impressive. Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was cool. It's been a good ride. As far as getting started, like I said, I'm from upstate New York. So while I was in college, I made pizzas just kind of for fun. Never really thought about it too much. It was just more like feeding drunk college kids at that point. And I transferred out here to UNLV. And I was like, well, I know how to make pizzas. And I didn't want to go home one summer. So I ended up staying. And I applied at Metro Pizza. And I ended up staying, for now, like you said, my 20th year. And I think that what I love most about it is the creativity, the working with my hands, the instant gratification of someone taking a bite and loving it and seeing that right away is something that keeps me motivated pretty much every day.
So you said that you just didn't want to go home one summer, and so was Metro Pizza your first official pizza job?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I guess. I mean, I made pizzas in New York, like I said, for just a couple of months. Mm-hmm. And it was really just for, like I said, just feeding drunk college kids. It was not really any thought put into it. It was how can we get this out so they can eat it while they're drunk type stuff. And then, once I saw there's an actual business that in a life that could be made, doing something that you really enjoy, that's when I kind of hopped on and really took it seriously. So, and, I met a lot of really great people, and, everyone's drive, that's what keeps me going every day. You see the love and the amount of care and work that goes into just making a pizza. Once you really look into it, you're amazed in how how much work it actually is,
How much of the culture of, I mean, pizza is a very sharing industry. How much do you thrive on that? Or are you, I'm Chris, and this is kind of my singular vision, or do you feed off of everybody else getting together and swapping stories? And
yeah, I mean, that's what keeps everything moving forward and progressing, right? So, I mean, if you're stuck in that way, like we always hear people say, oh, the recipe hasn't changed in 50 years, right? It's the same recipe. And you're like, you're telling me you got it right like the first time 50 years ago. There's not a better tomato or a better olive oil or something that you like different in 50 years. Like, we're constantly evolving. Like, this world is changing every single day. It's changing since we got on this phone call. Yeah. So you have to learn to change and adapt all the time.
How much freedom do you have to come up with Metro Pizza recipes that go on the menu, or just, I guess, just to play around? But how much do you create, and how much actually gets implemented into the restaurants?
I get to play around every single day. So with something, I have to just get that out, because if we did the same menu items every day for the past 20 years, I would go insane, right? You have to keep it fresh. So I try to do something different at least a couple times a week, as much as the restaurant and the free time that I have, I try to take advantage of that and kind of express creativity and do something different. So as far as the recipes, John and Sam have always said, not always, but the past couple of years, they'll be like, yeah, do whatever you want, run it as a special, see how it goes, this and that and the other. To get stuff added to the menu, it just depends. A lot of things that we think will work, maybe our customer isn't necessarily ready for, but like there's different things that you see and you're like, all right, I think that this will really work. This will really tap into what our customer base wants.
All right, so there's a freedom to be creative and run things as a special. It's got to be a home run before it ever hits paper on your menu, correct?
Yeah, and there's a ton of things that I make for John and Sam just consistently that they really like. So that's job security for me. Just keep me cooking for them, I'm happy.
All right, so let's just get a little bit fun about it. What's your favorite ingredient to work with?
I'll say the one that we use the most, so I think it's like the one that I can't live without, is olive oil. Like that Corto olive oil that we use from the guys in Stella Sauce is just great. I love everything about it. I love the flavor of it. When I do taste test side by side to whatever other olive oil, or our guests might ask why we use what we use, and I have them taste it. Like, to me, it's second to none, and like I use it every single day, somehow, some way. Right. And to me, that's one thing that's like, I don't know if it's necessarily my favorite, but it's one that I definitely can't live without.
Okay.
So in turn, I guess it is my favorite, because without that, I can't do anything,
Right. So what is and I hate to use the word gimmick, but what is one of the signature items or facts or gimmicks about your pizzeria, or your menu that you think is, unique to Metros, and maybe that's one reason people keep coming in, aside from the high quality of food? Just something unique about you guys that you think is Metro and Metro only.
Yeah, well, a lot of people always have to look like, what is Metro Pizza? So it's metropolitan pizza. It's based upon, because everyone in Las Vegas is from somewhere else. So we try to do different styles from all over the country, because everyone that lives here has come from somewhere else. So we do, traditionally our regular pizzas are New York style, hand tossed, but we have thin crust pizzas. We have pizzas cut in squares. We have stuffed pizzas. We have thick crust pizza. We have Sicilian pizza. All of these different things, because Las Vegas is a melting pot. So to me, that's the one thing that's kept us going. We try to be like your neighborhood pizzeria. Like, people will come and say, well, I'm from St. Louis or whatever. And I'll say, oh, it's okay. Tell me about that style of pizza or whatever. And then I'll try to make that. And then they never forget that. You know what I mean? They're like, it might not be what they're used to, but they'll be like, at least you tried, right. And you kind of establish that relationship with them. And, all of our full service restaurants have the open kitchen. Mm-hmm. So guests come up to the line all the time. So, it's not uncommon for someone to say, what are you guys doing? Or, hey, can you do this for my pizza or whatever? It just happens. So I think that's one thing that's really great about our restaurant, is how the pizza maker is front and center. at the Flamingo and Decatur store, the pizza maker is the first person you see when you walk in the front door. Before you see a hostess, before you see a server, anything, it's the pizza line.
A lot of people are not big on customization. A lot of people, they have their menu and that's what you get. A lot of people are like, change a couple things. How flexible are you? Because you said it's a melting pot, and from what it sounds like, it's like you're eager to please. It's like, well, you tell me.
Yeah.
I mean, is that something you guys look forward to, or you kind of fight against?
No, man, I want the challenge. There's some things that we always are like, there'll be a guest sometimes that says something and you're like, come on, but you always want to help the guest, right? I mean, at the end of the day, they're the one that's paying you. So these people are like, I'm not going to listen to this guy. Those are the people that go out of business. That's how we've been in business since June 1st, 1980, right? Is doing what the customer wants. Of course you have to draw the line somewhere and all of those other things, but you do your best to help them and work with them to understand so it benefits both of you. I tell people all the time, I'll do anything you want. I'll sell you anything you want. You can have this table, you can have the chairs, whatever you want. Just, you got to pay for it. At the end of the day, I'll do anything that you want me to do pizza-wise. So it's cool. I don't ever stress that. I like the challenge of that.
It sounds like you love your job. You've been there for 20 years now. Maybe what's the one thing you would want to add or change about either the pizzeria or the menu?
Like a seasonal type thing, I think would be great. We had them for a little while and then we kind of took it away. And that's one thing I want to talk to John and Sam about bringing that back and just having a couple items. You have a salad, an appetizer, maybe 1 or 2 pizzas at dinner, something like that we change 3 or 4 times a year. Just to keep it fun, And we did it for a while, and then the more restaurants you add, and this and that, everything kind of gets lost in the shuffle. Mm-hmm. But I think the staff could use a little bit of a challenge too, and it's good to keep everything fresh. It gives the customer something to look forward to instead of the same menu every time they walk in. You say, hey, here's 3 or 4 things that we're doing right now. Get them now because 2 or 3 months are going to be gone, and we're going to be doing something else.
Now, here's a trickier one that might not necessarily apply to you guys too much, but you do have some more residentially located stores, not down the strip, right? So what's something that you do locally in your market to keep you guys, I don't want to say top of mind, but, like giveaways or just a community-based kind of partnering with schools, local charities, sponsored sports teams?
There's a couple things. What we sponsor these nights through the school PTA, and they print out, say it's a middle school or whatever, we give them a logo sheet and they would bring that back in and we donate money back to the school, a percentage of the sales for that night back to the school. You just bring that flyer in with you. So, out here, some of these schools, they have thousands of kids in them. So, excuse me, we'll have a night where it'll be, whatever high school night, and we'll set up something with their PTA. We send them this thing. They print it out for all the kids bring it in, and then they get whatever percentage off their bill, and then we donate the money from 5 to 9 or 5 to 10 or whatever it might be. We donate that money back to them. Then we partner with Catholic Charities in Three Square, which is the food bank out here. Okay. We do a lot with them. I think it's always important, if we're going to be a part of this community, which we've been since, like I said, since 1980, you have to give back, because at the end of the day, we all live here. We don't want this town to suffer in any way, because if the town suffers, then we suffer. And I just don't think it's fair that we work in this food industry and there's so many people that are hungry, and it kind of goes unlooked, and people don't really, you get caught up in the day-to-day and you kind of lose track of that. I think it's important to say, drive maybe to a part of town that you normally wouldn't go to, just to see what it's like and see the people that are hurting, and know that you could do something better in your job to make it easier for the rest of the community.
So let's go back to another, just a quick fun one. What is one ingredient you would never use? If your staff brought it, or you saw them in their personal lunch, you kick them out. If the customer asked you for it, you might have to restrain yourself from, chopping them in the side. Right.
For me, it's mayonnaise. Just in general, at the bakery in Lulus, you'll see there's not mayonnaise on one menu item, not one salad dressing, not one sandwich. There's something about it. To me, I think it's people use it as a crutch, and I'll never, ever use it. I can't even look at it. I can't touch it. I can't smell it. So that's one thing. And I know it's not really a pizza item or a pizza topping, but I'm sure somehow somebody's thought of putting mayonnaise on a pizza. And to me, yeah, I can't ever do it. I can never use it.
Yeah, they do in Russia. Trust me.
See, I'll never go.
All right, well, that was an easy one. Loaded and ready to go. I like that.
Yeah, because people, that's like the first thing out of my mind. They're like, "Is there anything like when you go to a restaurant? They're like, is there anything you don't eat? We have any food allergies?" I'm like, whatever has mayo in it, just leave it off my dish. Whatever it is.
So, what is one ingredient that you guys don't use now, but you wish you could, or something that you've been thinking about experimenting with? I mean, I'm sure you guys are pretty well-rounded in your ingredient base.
It goes back to like, I think we were just ahead of our time when we used it before. We had burrata on the menu for a while, and it was like our customer base wasn't ready for it then. It was probably like 10 years ago, 11 years ago, and like no one quite knew what it was. And I think it would be, even though it is a little bit more expensive, the price point's a little bit higher, I think we would benefit from bringing that back. And I hope that's another thing I want to talk to them about, along with the seasonal menu thing, about bringing that back. It's so beautiful. It's so delicious. It's like super sexy. Everything about it is great.
So you guys don't currently use burrata on your menu?
No.
Really?
No. Just got forgotten about, and I think now's the perfect time to bring it back. We weren't turning it fast enough then, and it was super expensive then, and we just ended up throwing more away than we were using. I think that kind of left a sour taste in everyone's mouth, but I think now's the time to definitely bring that back and do something fun with it. Now people will at least buy it, and they're at least familiar with the name and what it is and what it looks like and all of those other things.
So what do you attribute that to? Just the thought that you think now's the time to bring it back. Do you think people are a little more educated nowadays on pizza
for sure
flavors?
For sure, and they're more aware of everything. Back then, Food Network and Cooking Channel and all those things. Like, think about it. Think 10 years ago, there was no Instagram, there was no Facebook. It was only Emerald really on TV, right? So it was like, look at how we've evolved from them, and the average customer knows a lot more than they used to, and they pay a lot more attention to it. And let's be honest, 10 years ago, it wasn't as sexy to be a pizza maker as it is now.
Yeah,
like they're looked at as a completely, they're regarded as highly as chefs on the Strip and major hotels across the world. Everyone knows like the most famous pizza maker in their town now. Where before it was just like that was the local place to go, and it was like kind of a forgotten about thing. Like I said, up until like 5 years ago, like no one cared.
Yeah.
We were making really good pizza, but no one cared about who was making the pizza.
Do you think that people are more, like you said, they've been more educated by the cooking shows and stuff? They're more willing to try things without even knowing what it is versus having the closed-minded, not necessarily knowing they like it, but more willing and open to actually giving it a shot?
Trust goes a long way. People have to believe, us, like I said, us being in town this amount of time, our customers trust us, and they know we're not going to try to pull a fast one or, anything like that. And I think that goes when you go into a higher-end restaurant, you trust that chef if you see a tasting menu, you're just going to be like, let's roll the dice because I know I'm going to get a really good product, right? So same kind of thing. I think, customers now will trust the pizza maker as well.
And just real quick for the people who don't know or who are not privileged enough to have been there. So Lulus Bakery, that's adjoined to the one that's, I can never remember where it's at. The one that you
it's Sky Point and Simmer out in Centennial Hills.
Yes, Centennial.
Yeah.
Is there a concerted effort to make sure that they don't compete with each other business-wise? I mean, obviously this is a bakery and this is a pizzeria. There's difference, but I mean, like, do the hours vary just to make sure that you're not doing a lot of crossover or stealing from?
Well, the bakery opens at 7 and closes at 3, and the pizzeria opens at 11 till 10. So there's plenty of time. You can go to Lulus for breakfast and then come to Metro for lunch and dinner, or vice versa. So, there's not really a competing thing because the menu's completely different.
Right.
And it's a good thing because Metro had such a big customer base at that point. When we first opened Lulus, however many years ago, 5 years ago, that, it helped out because no one was really sure what Lulus was because at first we were a food truck and no one knew it was associated with Metro Pizza and all of these different things. And they kind of work well together to kind of go hand in hand. They've helped each other out. We can say that for sure.
Yeah, and anybody listening or watching, I highly recommend going and checking that out. At the time, they're both open because there's a walkthrough for customers, and it's and I was privileged enough to be able to work in that kitchen and mess up a lot of dishes for John Arena. He was very patient with me. What is the best kind of marketing that you guys do in a place like that, saying that maybe that metropolitan, the downtown Las Vegas area that kind of reaches most people and gets them coming in for the first time if they've never heard about you?
You know, we don't do a lot of business off the strip or travelers or anything like that. We try to be Las Vegas's neighborhood pizzeria, so we want the locals to come. That's why we're not, you know, we have that one on the casino, like a block off the strip, but you know, first and foremost, we want families to come here and eat, you know, and we've had generations upon generations of families come. You'll see like grandkids and grandparents and aunts and uncles and all of those things. And we've done, you know, christenings to, excuse me, and then their confirmation and then their wedding and then, you know, birthdays for their kids and so on and so forth. And that's one great thing. You know, we want to be a part of this community. So we don't really market to tourists as much. Of course, we want them to come and take part in it. And a lot of people travel and they do come. But for the first and foremost, we want that local customer because we know that they're going to come back. You know, that's what we want is repeat business.
Right.
You know, and that's, you know, the one thing on the strip, you might go somewhere and you're going to blow your whole wad of cash on one dinner because you're never going to go back. Here we want you to come back and come back and come back and offer value and great food. You know, that ultimately that's what it's about.
Being there for, what is it going on, 37 years now? Obviously, it's well known. If there's somebody just moved there, do you guys do like new mover things or just?
We have, you know, that's one thing I think we do need to get better on is trying to create new business. Mm-hmm. You know, you don't want to get caught up in that where your customers are dying, right? No one wants that where they've been with you for so long. You know, you need to keep the new people engaged and, you know, you always strive for new customers. And, you know, it's funny that you mentioned about all the pizzerias, but they just had the best of, like in our local paper in their review journal. And for the pizza category, there was 52 different nominations for the best pizza.
Wow. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, think about that. Just and those were ones that were just nominated by readers. Mm-hmm. 52 different ones. And so how do you stick out? You know, just grind. You know, just do the best you can every day and hope that your employees have the same mindset and same drive and want to succeed and want to do better. And, you know, hopefully you're doing better than the next guy. There's enough people here for that many pizzerias. Everyone has their favorite. You just hope to be, you know, on that favorable end at the end of the day.
Now we've come to the dreaded Scott Wiener's lightning round.
Oh, I can show you. I got the Scott's Pizza too. Can you see it on the wall? Yeah. Am I holding it right? Yeah, I'm ready, man.
And they're going to be kind of weird. Some you might have already used, some you don't. But just kind of give me off the top of your head what you would do with them. Doesn't necessarily have to be pizza, maybe a dish, preferably pizza. So we'll jump right in. And this one's going to be probably one of the craziest ones. Pickles.
We actually, funny enough, we used pickles. We had a pizza called the Flying Pickle. So it was carnitas, barbecued pork. And we put that on the pizza. And when it came out, we topped it with French fried onion rings that we had soaked in buttermilk, and then bread and butter pickle. And that actually was one that I created as a special because the National Finals Rodeo is here. When I was over at the Trop in Maryland store, so it was right across, right at from UNLV where they have the rodeo. So we did that as a special, and that was one that actually got added to the menu for a long time. And the menu was like, who would ever put pickles on a pizza? And we said, we'll do it when pigs fly. So that was how it kind of got the name.
All right, well, let's go to something. Let's do egg.
Right before the Everything Bagel Pizza, I had an egg pizza that we were doing with sopressata and caciocavallo cheese and fried egg. And that was delicious. Again, so it had pickled peppers on it too, so you could see that's kind of like a running thing with me. But it did break down that like caciocavallo cheese, which was like super rich and delicious, and like, you know, that pickled pepper with the egg is great. And I love an egg on a pizza. There's something about like cooking it just right and getting that egg yolk so that makes the sauce. I love it, man. I'd put egg on pizza every day if I could.
Wow, this is just way too easy for you, man.
I'm crazy though. I'm a madman with that.
But I like it. I do like it. So let's go with let's say figs. And I haven't looked at their menu, so I don't know if they've
Yeah.
done this before or do these now. So I handed them the first two. So
Yeah, the classic thing of just putting with that prosciutto is always great. Arugula and fig is awesome. You know, I love that combination, that super bitter green with the sweet fig. I think is great. So you know, we've done it a couple of times. I like to use them in the bakery. We had like different like seasonal toasts too, and just that like a ricotta toast with the fig and some honey, and just, it's tough to beat that. That's comfort right there for me.
Would you do it as like an actual piece of fig, or you know, would you consider doing like it as a glaze or something like that, a reduction?
Yeah, you know, we put them in with the balsamic and reduce them down, so you kind of have like a fig balsamic. But I like them quartered, you know. And you know, we had a toast over there where I kind of just dipped one side in sugar and then bruleed it a little bit, and that came out really nice on the ricotta toast because sometimes the figs are so soft, but when you brulee it, it gave it like that candied shell, and it had a little bit of a crunch to it with the toast, and then the creamy ricotta, and then that super smooth fig, but it had that candied edge, which was really nice.
Getting hungry. All right.
I hear you.
All right. So, as you know, part of this process is that you give me a recipe that I can put out to the public, pizzeria guys and consumers, that they can recreate in their homes or their pizzerias. Now, which recipe have you settled on to give PMQ to put out there for all of our fans, I should say?
Yeah, so I think the Stella, the pizzas, I think it's great. It's got like the margarita elevated, and I think people really like that thin, crispy crust, and it's super light. And with, like I said, with summer being right around the corner, I think it's the right time to if we put it out there pretty soon and give people time to practice and get it done right.
The Stella, I mean, it's actually very aesthetically appealing. It's something that somebody can make in their house when they have a dinner party, you know, take the time.
Yeah.
And it's something that people can do in pizzerias as specials. I mean, it is a little more time consuming with the crust, but you know, you feel it works on both ends?
Yeah, I mean, just like anything, you know, once you get it, you're moving a lot faster, you know. But the first time, for sure, it's going to take you a little bit to get it down. But just like anything else, just practice, and before you know it, you got it.
All right, so who created this particular recipe? What was the inspiration? Did you come up with it, or were you inspired by something?
Yeah, well, I was inspired by, like I said, I think Patrizia is how you pronounce it in New York. I had seen it on Instagram or whatever, and I was like, wow, this is really beautiful. This is something that I hadn't seen before. You know, it's one of those things that when you put it out there, and if you have time to do it and do it correctly, like once people see it, everyone wants it.
Run through the toppings kind of in order as they go on for me real quick.
I spread the sauce down, and I shaved the garlic over the top. And what I found out to work the best for me is when I started on the pizza peel, but I shake it onto a screen because I don't want to try to put that shape into the oven and pull it off the peel itself. So it starts on the screen just so I can get that perfectly round star. And then once it sets, I take it off the screen. To get that perfect shape, you know, I found that works the best for me. And then once that sets, I kind of take it off the screen, let it continue cooking, and you want it to be crispy, you know, move it around a little bit because those stars, you want them to be nice and brown. And then when it came out, a little olive oil over the top, that half a ball of burrata and some fresh basil, you know, and just when I did cut it, I cut it in squares and then left that one in the middle with the burrata, you know, intact. So you take a piece and you kind of dip it in that burrata, or take a spoon and spread it out so every piece, you know, has cheese on it. That's
important too, because I was getting ready to ask. I mean, you don't want to cut it first and then put the burrata, because if you try to cut through burrata, anybody who knows what it is, it's not pretty.
Right.
It destroys what the product should be, and it just makes the rest of the pizza look like a mess. So
yeah.
Also, the cool thing about this is that with the stars, which are really star points, kind of what we're talking about for anybody listening, is that those are almost even little appetizers too that you can just rip off. It's like a cheese bite.
Like the contrast of flavor and texture, also with the ricotta that's warm and then the burrata that's cold. It's and the two different textures of those cheeses are really great together.
Yeah, so this is a great recipe. It's very simple. It only has, like you said, a few basic ingredients, but the flavors and the textures and the temperatures all play off of each other. And it's got that eye appeal that's going to make people look at it and say, when it comes out of the kitchen, say, I want that.
Yeah, for sure.
So is this recipe going to be on your menu year-round now? Is it going to be a special on the weekends, a couple days a week, maybe? Or
Yeah, I got to be careful because right now I'm the only one that can really do it well enough to sell. 'Cause it's hard. Once you start putting the broth on there and everything, you don't want it to waste. So you have to practice with that dough a lot. Luckily, I work 80 hours a week, so I'm here a majority of the time. So it'll be available every day but Sunday and Monday when I try to take off.
Wow, so is it like kind of available just at special request?
Yeah, right now it's just one of those things when whenever I put something on Instagram, I try it out for that week, and if it works, then okay, then we'll continue to do it. But I typically just try to put stuff out there and like run it for like the week, that weekend or that week. Just because I'm always trying something different. So,
what is the best part about working at Metro Pizza that's kept you there for 20 years?
Like working side by side with people that you actually really get along with and like two legends, John and Sam. We just get along, and I think that's if people get along with their bosses like John and Sam and I get along. Like I don't really think of them as bosses. Like I don't like. Yes, I have to answer to them, but it's not like. We work together as a team. So I think that's what's kept me there for so long, kept me here for so long, is working side by side with them and like kind of growing with them. Like I was always a part of it. It was like us against them or anything like that. And they're not like that with any employee. It's really great to work side by side with people like that, that are collaborative and welcoming and loving. Like to me, if you love what you do and you love the people that you work with, like that's magic, not everyone feels that way,
I think you actually answered my next question. I was going to ask if John Arena is really the monster that the internet has painted him out to be, or if, he's pretty nice, but I know for a fact he's one of the kindest, humblest, most sharing men in the industry. So
yeah,
just reaffirm that. I don't think anybody would disagree.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. He's always calm, and that in itself is very helpful because you know how stressful this business can be, right? You get someone calls out, someone's in a car accident, someone's got the flu, someone cuts their finger, you get all these things, and you might be going crazy with all of those different things, and then he'll come in and he'll be like, okay, we can do with this, we can do that, and then we'll do this, and then we'll do this, and then by the end of the day you're done, and you're like, okay. But in the moment he's always calm, and that's one thing that's great, and that's I think anyone that's met him can attest to that also. He just has that kind of calming nature about him and always teaching and accepting. That's, those are great attributes to have. And to work side by side with that is great, for me.
Well, and I did hear something the other day on the internet, on the Facebooks and the interwebs. I think Will Brewer called him out on his the size of his forearms. I didn't pay attention. Is he like Popeye? Has he got those giant
man,
rolling dough?
People don't know. He's like, I don't know what degree black belt, but like he's been practicing karate for like 40 years.
Oh wow!
So
I did not know
as
that.
Gentle as he is, he will bend you in 7 and make you scream for mercy. So don't test that. You don't want that side to come out.
In your time at Metro Pizza, what is one of the biggest lessons that you've taken from that you've applied to yourself and try to pass down to others as well?
And that's the important thing is you can learn something from somebody, but if you don't pass it on, then what good was it? So empathy for sure is one thing that I've learned from them. Other people's feelings, no matter what it is, the customer, the employee, the delivery guy, the guy that's delivering the food in the door, all of those things come into, they've shown me to take a kind of step back and get someone else's point of view or their feelings, take their feelings into consideration. So I think empathy is like probably the most important thing that I've learned from them. You can learn how to make pizzas from anyone, but you can't learn how to be a better person from anyone. 100%.
That's definitely a great trait to pass down to the next generation because it seems like sometimes it's lacking. I really appreciate you sitting down with me today. I hope to stay in touch with you some more and get out there and actually let you show me some of the things that you do in the kitchens over there. So
for sure.
I just want to say if some people want to learn a little bit more about Metro Pizza, yourself or John Arena, is there ways that we can contact you or not contact you, at least view you, websites, anything like that?
Yeah, so metropizza.com is our recipe or our menu, and a little bit of history is on there. But everyone at some point comes to Las Vegas in their life. I would just make it a point to, if you're coming out here, let us know, get in touch with us through Facebook, just leave a message on there. Constantly people are coming here, and we love to have them come and make pizzas with us and exchange ideas and just eat pizza together. That's the thing that I like about pizza the most, is it being a communal dish. You eat it with people that you really care about, and like your friends or family or whatever. And at the end of the day, we're all part of this crazy pizza family. So come out, and when you're here, take an afternoon and come have some pizza with us, and just come into the kitchen and make a pizza with us and to exchange some ideas. I'm everything but anchovies on Instagram, and people always ask me what that is, and I always tell them it's like to our customers. Like they always, whenever I would answer the phone, they'd be like, "Give me a pizza with everything but anchovies." So people think it's that I don't eat anchovies, but I actually love them. It's just that it's like paying. Yeah, it's like paying homage to our customers and those people that like the everything pizza. When they always say, like, "Give me one with everything but anchovies," like I can't think of how many times people have said that to me. So it just kind of stuck. I'm like, that would be a great Instagram name. So it just kind of stuck. It's just one of those weird, quirky, funny things. But yeah, I actually love anchovies, but it's just a nod to our customers. That's what that is.
Folks, throw all your pictures at everything but anchovies. It's going to be Chris.
Yeah.
He's actually going to love it. So if you're trying to make him mad, too bad. Chris, thank you so much for sitting down with us. This is going to be on the Chef's Corner in the magazine. We're going to be able to figure out how to make that Stella Pizza for pizza and for people at home. And then, this will also be an online article, this whole interview. And then we're going to also make a podcast that you get at Pizza Radio on iTunes. So you're going to be all out there, my friends. And I can't
awesome.
Better person to let people talk to or listen to about, the pizza industry. You've worked with the best. You're one of the best. And the stuff you're putting out there is amazing. So
thank you so much. I appreciate that.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'll talk to you soon.